With so many of us torn between juggling heavy workloads, managing relationships and family responsibilities, and squeezing in outside interests, it's no surprise that more than 1 in 4 Americans describe themselves as super stressed, and that's not balanced or healthy. In our rush to get it all done at the office and at home, it's easy to forget that as our stress levels spike, our productivity plummets. Stress can zap our concentration, make us irritable or depressed, and harm our personal and professional relationships. Over time, stress also weakens our immune systems and makes us susceptible to a variety of ailments from colds to backaches to heart disease. The newest research shows that chronic stress can actually double our risk of having a heart attack. That statistic alone is enough to raise your blood pressure. While we all need a certain amount of stress to spur us on and help us perform at our best, the key to managing stress lies in that one magic word, balance. Not only is achieving a healthy work-life balance an attainable goal, but workers and businesses alike see the rewards. When workers are balanced and happy, they are more productive, take fewer sick days, and are more likely to stay in their jobs. That is an excerpt from the Mental Health America website and is the topic of our conversation tonight, being work-life balance. I am joined by my friend and colleague, Garrett Nitz, for the third time. Welcome, Garrett.
Thank you for having me back again.
We are in our 19th month in working from home, and it started last March, likely as 2 weeks. I think maybe we thought it might last a month, and here we are, a year and a half later. Started out kind of with excitement and energy and engagement, and I'm not sure that we still have that today. I think we're feeling the results of burnout, stress, overwork, that type of stuff. So how are we able to overcome some of those things, especially as a lot of us will continue working from home either on a permanent basis or somewhat hybrid approach moving forward?
Yeah, I think total change, right? And I think maybe that's the first step for a lot of people. And I fought this for a long time, where it's like, well, we'll just make this kind of normal. We'll be back in the office. This is fine. We know that that's not the case now. And collectively, society went through this huge change together. And if we're really, I think if we're really talking about it, we could label it with a traumatic experience. I don't know if I realized that at the beginning, but our lives are drastically different in all facets, right? Socially, work, just personal stuff. And so I think that's maybe the first step, is like understanding that we went into this maybe with the excitement or, oh, this is a cool change or whatever. And now we're feeling this stuck. I'm feeling stuck. I'm in neutral. How do I get out of that? How do I get my motivation back? I'm not seeing my peers or getting the excitement and the energy that I maybe got when I was in the office. And so, one, just admitting it, I think is a huge piece of it. Second, so we've talked about this a little bit before our conversation of, I have felt stuck, right? Unmotivated. The things that maybe gave me joy in the past became tasks, or I had this feeling of like wanting to do something, but then when I did it, it drained me and I'm burnt out. And that was unique for me. I was always someone that drew energy from getting things done or having something pop up and having a challenge, and that energized me. And now it's like, that completely empties my tank, and at the end of the day, my brain is scrambled. And I was really struggling with, what is this feeling? Like, I'm having all of these emotions, and recently I had a term, came across this term of languish and languishing, and it encapsulated what I'm feeling. This thought of, I don't know where I am. Like, I'm unsettled, and having that kind of put in front of me has helped me address it, I think, and we'll talk about some things that we do and some strategies that we have to kind of break us out of that. But I kind of just shared that term with you, but on the spot, I guess. What kind of feelings have you had, or hearing that term, did it kind of elicit anything while we were talking about it?
When I think about languish, it feels like you're fighting. I imagine, being in a pool where you're trying to tread water for an extended period of time, and at some point you just get tired, and you start feeling like, all right, I'm gonna sink here pretty quickly, which is not a feeling that we want to be having. We want to definitely avoid that. So as you think about, kind of the situation of feeling stuck, the first thing that comes to my mind, or the first question that comes to my mind, is how would you get out of it, or what are some steps that you might take?
Yeah, so I think probably when I really started to feel this way, throughout the pandemic, I spent a considerable amount of time in New York City. And I was living with my girlfriend who lived there at the time, and she was going into the office, and I was at our, the studio apartment that we were living in New York City.
Probably good she was in office, or else you would have no room. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And so there were stretches for like long periods of time that, looking back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was terrible for my mental health, where I would not leave the studio apartment for a week, and every day became the same. Every day became the same. Wake up, work, handle what my responsibilities at work, log off, maybe make some dinner, order food, because I feel burned out from work. I don't want to do food or make food, work out. Things that I used to do and I used to enjoy, I don't want to do them anymore because I have this feeling of just being like, blah. Watch some TV shows, go to bed. And that was my world. That was like my reality. And man, that was not good for me. But while you're in it, it's hard to realize it. And so while I was there and still living there, had to set like strict rules for myself. Like, once I had noticed this happening, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're gonna go for a walk. Doesn't matter where it is, how long it is, with no agenda on this walk. We're just gonna go for 30 minutes, walk around. We could walk around the block 8 times, whatever it is. Get outside, right? Do something, move, break up your day. On the weekends, a lot of times it was like, oh, I'll take this time to recharge, and we wouldn't do anything. And then Monday came around and I was lethargic still. So it was like, okay, on a weekend, I gotta get out. Like, let's go eat somewhere, right? Let's go do something. Like, it does not matter what it is. I gotta change my scenery. I gotta get out. I gotta do something, because it's too easy to fall into this routine or creature of habit, but habits that are not good for you. And so now that we've kind of transitioned back to Arizona, we're still implementing that, right? Still, because even though we're in an apartment that's a little bit bigger, you can still find yourself just like not leaving your house for long stretches of time. Making a routine, I think, and sticking to that to change your scenery.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The schedule is huge, right? And when you talk about a schedule to get outside, what came to my mind was a schedule, sticking to the same schedule you would have had in office that you have at home. I've found that I don't do the same things when I'm working at home that I did in the office. So I didn't schedule time for my personal development. I didn't schedule time to network with others or meet with mentors. And so doing what I would have done in the office at home, rather than feeling like you have to work all day long. I'd also would say, in creating a schedule, if you work 8 to 4:30 in the office, then work 8 to 4:30 at home, right? Hard start at 8, hard stop at 4:30. The other two things that I've found pretty beneficial, first is having a dedicated space to work and only working in that area and not working in other areas of the house. So I'm not kind of mixing those two things together. And the second thing that was kind of advice that I was given, which has been really beneficial, is getting ready and changing, before work and after work. Where when I go into the office, slacks, polo, whatever it may be, and when I get home, I change into whatever, shorts and a shirt or whatever. But at home, it was like I wake up in the morning, kind of wear the same thing all day. But when I got this advice of changing, like I would wear what you would wear to work in the morning and then change in the afternoon, it really creates kind of a separation in your mind. It's like, okay, the workday's over. Now that I've done that and I'm not going to work outside of that dedicated space, really helped.
I completely agree. When you talk about the schedule, when you're in the office, it's a little bit easier to say like, well, I'm leaving when I'm supposed to leave, right? And obviously different people have different roles. That means different things for everyone. But if I was leaving the office at 4:30, I should try and log off at 4:30. And I found myself at the beginning of the pandemic and the beginning of the work from home, I would work longer hours and get less done. Because I had this kind of fallacy in my mind of like, well, I can do this whenever I want, right? Like my computer's 10 steps away from me. I can log on and like, I'll get that done. But I didn't, right? And then I just probably wasn't doing what I should have been doing, or being as productive as I could have been, right? And so giving myself maybe that dedicated time of like, hey, I'm trying to log off at the same time every day. I got to get my stuff done, right? And like, I got to be productive. I got to be here. And having a role with a little flexibility maybe makes that different than other roles. But yeah, I found myself like logged on 3 hours after I should have been. And for the 3 hours that I was there, I hadn't really gotten much done. And so make that dedicated time, be productive. Don't trick yourself into the thought of like, oh, well, like I'll have time to do that at 6 p.m. Because you're not going to want to do it at 6 p.m., right? No one wants to be working for 15 hours a day. And so I like that. The other thing, like changing your clothes, getting ready. I was actually reading an article kind of talking about this idea of languish, and it was written by a woman who said, I started doing my makeup every morning. I didn't do my, like at the beginning of the pandemic, it was like, oh, this is great. I don't have to get ready to go in. I don't have to do these things. And she missed doing like her makeup and her hair. That was something she enjoyed doing. And so it kind of rolled into find the things that you like to do and the things that you miss and do them and allow yourself to enjoy it, right? Like, cool. She talked about how that was meditative for her, right? For me, maybe my commute I enjoyed driving to the office. It was time for me to think. It was time for me to do stuff. So I've started to dedicate, the 15 minutes that it would have taken me to drive to the office. I try to find that time in my day where I can sit and be like, I'm going to think about this, or I'm going to listen to the music for 15 minutes that I would have listened to, or whatever it is, because I liked that and I'm missing it. So try and find those things that you're missing now, put them into your daily routine, and give yourself permission to find that enjoyment, because that stuff matters.
I think that's a great point. Finding what you like and doing it is huge. And again, it comes back to scheduling, it seems like, right? Making sure you have time to do those things. The other thing that you had talked about, which I think was interesting, is you had talked about use of a checklist recently. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I think along with that kind of fallacy that I was putting in my own head of like, well, I've got all this time to get stuff done now, like I don't have the same challenges that I had in the office with having my time taken by different things or taken up. I'm more focused on like sitting and doing my work at my desk, right? But then that creeps in where there are other things that, you know, you might do from home. It's just a different type of challenge. And so I've started to plan out my day very strategically, but do a checklist, and it doesn't always have to be like these grand things, right? If I wake up on Monday morning and I know that I have something I need to do weekly, throw it on the checklist. And then when I get to check that off, I have this sense of accomplishment, right? I know that I'm being productive, I'm getting stuff done, and that helps drive you. And some days I don't get through my checklist, and that's fine. Because, well, I mean, it's fine if you didn't have something that needed to be done, but there's that sense of accomplishment that you get from it. It helps you actually schedule out your day when, you know, it's become a little bit more loose. It just helps put perspective on things. And again, it doesn't have to be like, wow, I got this project done that I've been working on for a week. It could be, hey, I sent an email. I've been wanting to send this email. I know that it's going to help, you know, whoever I'm sending it to, draft it and get it done. Boom, I'm done with it. Instead of like, oh, well, I can, you know, I'll be logged on in 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I'll send it then. It's kind of like a way to not do the procrastination too. And I'm sure that a lot of people did that while we were in the office, but it's always that constant reminder now that you're home alone maybe. You don't have the folks around you where you're like, oh, I'm going to go do that, and holding yourself accountable to it.
I love the checklist, especially when you prioritize it, because you know what needs to get done that day, and you can put it, and when you put it in that order and those things get done, that will relieve any stress that you may have about some of those things too. Whereas if you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants every day, at the end of the day, you may say, oh, you know, I need to send this email on this project I'm working on, where that can cause some stress that you need to get it done. But if you sit down either at the end of the prior day or the beginning of your day and you think about what you need to do, you are in a better spot. You know exactly what needs to be done. You get those high priority items out of the way early on. You're feeling good about your day.
Yep. And then, yeah, a little bit of a stress relief, right? If I can get those high priority things done in the first half of the day, then I can shift my focus to maybe a less stressful mindset of, well, I've got, you know, these things don't need to be done for another 17 days, or it's a monthly thing that I have a cadence on for reporting or whatever it is. But now I'm happy because I'm at a point in my day where I'm knocking out stuff. I'm ahead, right? Like, well, this doesn't have to be done for 3 weeks, but I'm already getting to it. Cool, right? I'm not stressed about this, and I'm relieving my stress for my future me in the 3 weeks where if I left that kind of sit, I'm stressed, you know, because now I got to get it done. So the checklist has been something that's really helped me, you know, 4 or 5 things that I want to get done in the day. And then once I get those done, move on to maybe those low stress activities or things that are going to give me more capacity later on.
These are definitely tips that will help out, not a solution to, you know, everything that's going on. The other thing that I would recommend is do your research on the benefits that are available to you by your employer. I think oftentimes we think of benefits as, you know, your salary, your 401k, pension, time off, rightfully so. There are a lot of times that these benefits go beyond on that too, right? You know, where we work, we have access to a lot of different resources like counselors or, you know, articles on different things, programs that you can partake in that can really help with these things too. So that's something that I would recommend folks do. Absolutely.
I think, right, like we're sitting here talking about tips and tricks. By no means are we experts. this is not easy. It's difficult stuff for everyone. And again, collectively, we're all going through this stuff together, right? In the last 18 months, 19 months, whatever it's been, huge changes for everyone. Everyone's life is drastically different. And so making yourself aware of those resources that are available to you, using those resources, doing what is going to make you happy, so important. I would say that's probably the most important thing that we've said.
Well said, and I think that's a great point for us to close on. Garrett, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate the third visit. Hoping for a fourth soon. With that, we'll let you get on with your day.
All right. Thanks for having me.